Truth is absolute.
Heart.
Exhilarating hearts.
America.
Reawakening America.
Good day, U.S. of A. We're here to affirm truth is absolute, tell stories that accelerate the heart, and reawaken the good people of America. This is Comer and Way.
Hey friends, and welcome to another Comer and Way. We're so excited to have you here, and I hope you like what we've been doing. You know, we've really enjoyed being able to spread the message God's given to us.
You know what, Dave? I can tell this is kind of something that's put into me because the more I do it, the more excited I get.
Yeah, I find that, like when I do the show, I kind of get like a natural high or something.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, man, that was fun. I should do this every day.
I'm definitely looking forward to that when we can actually, spend our time doing this.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to when we can do full live video, so.
Like the effort I put into it to do the research and stuff pays off when I do a show, and then I'm like, man, that went pretty cool. And now I learned something new, and now other people are. I mean, it's kind of fulfilling. And I find that, like, when people start talking, I, have so much to say.
I get in a conversation, and then I say something that's profound, and I'm like, where did that come from?
Yeah. So we have something profound to say today. We believe that there are things out there that have become taboo to talk about, and there are things out there that have kind of been silenced because it could hurt someone's feelings. And we believe that the truth should be spoken, things should be spoken, even if they're not the most happy things to say,
You know how the truth now is becoming so taboo. I think once people hear that, they become convicted. They realize their ways, their ways of thinking, their belief isn't lining up with what the real truth is, and so people don't want to hear it.
Conviction's a little uncomfortable too. I think as Americans, it's our duty to speak up and let our voice be heard. Mm-hmm. There's a million different opinions and thoughts out there, and I think that's fine, but you should feel free to speak it. And our founders intended that.
Mm-hmm. What is the first Bill of Rights?
Yeah.
It's free speech, and
right.
Free speech means that you can say pretty much anything you want despite what it is.
Yeah.
There are a lot of evil things to be said.
Yeah.
There are a lot of opinions and phrases out there that I don't agree with, but you know what? I stand up for the right for them to say it.
Yeah. You got to be able to exchange ideas, I think, And I think now, you don't want to wear the Trump shirt or put the sign out because you're afraid. Fear tends to hinder us. We don't recognize who we are. We don't recognize our identity in Christ and as American citizens, And that causes us to step back and just focus on our little bubble.
Mm-hmm. Most people will withdraw because they feel powerless. They don't want to put their head up above water, so to speak, so that they get, pot shots taken at them.
Yeah.
Because that they're standing. They don't want to take the hits.
Do you think part of that is because, their freedom isn't really real to them?
Right. And that's a societal condition. They're afraid because nobody likes to be attacked.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to be ridiculed or persecuted for what they believe.
None of us have really been through the persecution, and things are fairly easy. So there's not that sense of like the founders, not necessarily the founders too, but the early pilgrims came over, they were persecuted. So they wanted to get free of that. So when you go through the struggle, it's more real. You'll fight for it. But for us who are born in it, it's just the norm,
Well, yeah, we haven't paid the price.
Mm-mm.
Freedom demands a price.
Yeah.
The ultimate freedom is in through what Jesus did.
Yeah.
It is living in through the kingdom of God. That is where we're truly free.
Yeah.
A lot of what we have in this country is slowly degraded into nothing but an image of freedom.
Yeah.
So many people don't understand that the lifestyle that we have is greater than anything else, but it's an insidious, slow degradation of what it was to be truly free.
Yeah. We have the sayings, we have land of the free, home of the brave, and we just say it. We really don't think about it. And it seems like I've been thinking about this, what can I do to make freedom real to me, And as I read and study, put yourself in the position of those people.
Yeah.
and then you suffer in your imagination the way they did, and maybe it can be a little bit more real. And you can be thankful. Like, I look at other nations, and how they went through terrible things and people didn't stand up. In Germany, Hitler came out, and a lot of Germans and American Christians, they remained silent during the Holocaust. They didn't speak out. There's some Germans that did, but on the whole, like, people just kind of, I don't know that they grasped everything that was happening.
Yeah.
They weren't paying attention, and they allowed some terrible things to happen.
Yeah. I hear people who said during that time of, the Holocaust, where was God? And I know the answer to that.
Yeah.
God was in the hearts of the good people who didn't stand up.
God was trying to get out through people, but
Yeah.
people didn't do their part. They remained silent.
And that's what Dietrich Bonhoeffer, he was a pastor, and he's the one who stood up against Hitler, and he was finally executed because he was accused of an assassination attempt. But one thing that he said was silence in the face of evil is itself evil.
So true.
And so that's what silence does, is you're not protecting anybody by not making any waves. In fact, you're supporting the act of tyranny
That's true.
against those who can't speak.
You're on the team of the enemy if you just sit back.
Yeah.
It's weird to say this, but America has its own Holocaust going on right now in a sense.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I don't even know the number, but there's hundreds of thousands of babies murdered regularly, yearly.
It's our own version of the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And it's because the church and, quote unquote Christians and good people refuse to stand.
Yeah. We're some the people that don't speak up, they get ridiculed so bad they just start to be quiet.
David, let me ask you this. Why do you think silence is such a major issue?
Silence, for one thing, doesn't allow the spread of ideas, and it keeps people separated. And when there is injustice, people don't know about it, and you can't stand up to it.
Yeah.
Those are a couple of reasons.
It's a tool that's based out of fear. And it all comes down to that most people do not recognize who they are. When I was researching this, Dave, I came across some of these quotes, and there's one.
Oh, cool.
The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any.
Wow. That's wow.
And we had talked about this last time, how God and history is being taken out of society.
Yeah.
And the reason why is if people knew God and if people knew history, they would know who they are.
Yeah.
They would know how we started as a country. They would know the type of people who stood up. And I think a lot of that was due to, during the times of the American Revolution, it was the Black Robe Regiment, the pastors who inspired the hearts of their congregations to go out and fight.
That's the thing we need to get back, is our pastors to inspire people.
Right. There's a lot of silence of truth in the pulpit.
Man, that's true. I don't ever hear a message about like anything that's going on of the day.
Yeah.
They maybe mention it in passing and then apologize about it.
As time goes on, you've seen how government, people who are in there, they slowly start putting these things in place that eradicate freedom. They eradicate free speech. And because people are allowing it, the government comes and there's a line in the sand and we fall back. And then they crouch a little more and we fall back. And eventually, what's going to happen is we're going to be falling off a cliff.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of government, another example of this is like this latest midterms. Republicans, if you want to call them that, lost the House because 51% of registered voters stayed silent. That's silence. That's exactly what we're talking about. Half the country didn't put out a voice. Now, that's not even half the country. That's registered voters.
Voters, yeah.
So, to me, 49% of the people picked what's going on.
Yeah.
We're at a place now where you can't even talk about politics, because if you believe the wrong thing, you could get beat.
Right. Yeah, and that's why most people don't, is they don't want to be in that position.
And, you think back on the disciples, Paul, they spoke up and they got beat.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? God
they were martyred.
gave them grace. Yeah, eventually. They were murdered, yeah. And just think, if they were willing to put up with it, and even Jesus, he spoke up, and look what happened to him.
Yeah. He was put on a cross.
Are we willing to take up our cross and
Yeah.
to speak the truth and be beat, maybe?
Dave, I talk to people about this, and it's if we are truly his followers, the very least we can do is give our life
Yeah.
because of what he did for us. I mean, I think the American soldier can understand this better than anybody else because they put their lives on the line.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're willing to sacrifice themselves, not only for us, but for other people across the oceans in other countries.
Yeah.
I don't know very too many other armies that do that.
That's pretty amazing. It's cool, like, thinking about, well, to me, like, I feel like some of these things we're talking about, like, we never really sacrificed. We never really paid. I relate to that. So, but at least I acknowledge it and I know, oh, freedom is there. I don't quite understand it. Most people, I feel like they don't even acknowledge freedom. In life, we're not really dependent on God. You know, we have the United States. It's a very prosperous nation, and it's like money has kind of, well, if you have money in the bank, you don't need to depend on God, you know, type thing. So we don't really have the revelation of who we are. We don't really know history, and we're wealthy enough we don't have to depend on a God. So we really don't have the revelation to understand the freedom he designed for us to have, you know?
I think most people do not have that dependence, that trust.
Yeah.
And the reason they don't have that trust is because, first of all, they don't know him.
Yeah.
You know, if they knew God from out of his word, if they truly put their heart upon God, they would be able to trust him. And when you do that, you'll know who you are. You'll know that God is the one who put his sovereignty into mankind. You know, he only reigns sovereign in the hearts of those who have given their lives to him. You know, and that is the only way any good is going to get done, Dave.
Yeah.
Is if people who truly love God stand up.
Yeah. We need to talk, we need to stand up, and we need a revelation of God so that we're not afraid. With knowing God comes boldness, and you can talk. And you know, another problem we have in society, I think, is like the isolationism we have where we don't sit and talk over coffee anymore. We text each other or Facebook each other.
Man, yeah.
And I think these social media things it's a way to censor. I don't know if it was designed that way, but it's a way to censor us because now all the big platforms are starting to go, oh, well, you said this. We can't have that view, so we block you. And it's just political correctness, and social media is a huge way to communicate. Well, kind of communicate. And now they're trying to block it.
Well, you see, there's another one of those encroachments upon the freedom is through that. I mean, these people, you know, who put out these platforms, okay, yeah, they can do whatever they want. That's fine. Well, but it's like you say, so many people do not converse one-on-one with anybody anymore, so their only voice is through these platforms. And so when they start censoring or blocking you because they don't agree with your outlook, then your voice is silenced. The best way is to talk to your friends, to talk to your neighbors, to let your voice be heard and to make it louder.
Yeah.
And so people know where you stand. And I think the more you do it, the louder you get, the more confident and bold you become, and that starts inspiring people.
True.
That's
so true.
That starts putting encouragement and courage for other people to be able to do the same.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The boldness for sure. And then I found, like, when you start talking about politics or whatever, people either go, well, I'm not really into it, or they try to join you in conversation even they may not be as informed. I've noticed that. So it does inspire them.
Yeah. I think courage is contagious.
True.
I mean, we talked about this last time that, you know, how President Trump has inspired a lot of people to stand because he doesn't back down.
Yeah.
He's got a backbone.
Oh, man, yeah.
I've loved the way that he's just subverted, you know, the mainstream media, and he's gone directly to the people. It's exactly what Reagan did. You know, he went directly to the people, and he bypassed Congress.
Yep.
Because he understood that it was the power of the people that made this country. It was our hard work. It was our effort. It was our belief that it was our authority that was given to the government to run. And so if you don't like the direction that this country is going, it's our fault.
Yeah, definitely.
This whole mess has been our fault, Dave. You know, it's the generations before and the generations now that refuse to stand.
Yeah.
And that is how evil prevails. It has been such a slow progression that most people think that this is the norm. They don't have a context of what it used to be. And so they just accept it. They don't know that it's the people that has the power.
Yeah.
You remember that movie, Bug's Life?
Yep.
Towards the end of the movie, he stands up against the grasshoppers, and the grasshoppers end up, beating him up. And then he finally stood up. He had the courage to stand up against it, and what that did was inspired all the other ants. They all of a sudden realized that they outnumbered the grasshoppers 100-1, and once they locked arms, those grasshoppers ran scared.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what we need to do.
That's true. There's millions of us. We could change things in just a couple elections if we could unite.
Yeah.
If Christians would stand up alone, we could totally put people in that would be for the people.
Washington, D.C. and the government is downriver. What you see down there is a change up in society. You have to be a cultural warrior upstream. So that means that you have to let your voice be heard. It comes back to that hierarchy. How God gave the authority to individual man and women, and then that just boils down, and the government is at the bottom of that list.
Yeah.
They are the ones that are supposed to be servants. They have forgotten their place because we haven't held them accountable.
Yeah.
But what we've got to do is tell the message that, hey, people, we're the ones that got the power.
Yeah.
We put them in that office. We can take them out.
Right. This reminds me of a scripture, what you're saying. So Isaiah 62:1 says, "For Zion's sake, I will not keep silent. And for Jerusalem's sake, I will not keep quiet until her righteousness goes forth like brightness and her salvation like a torch that's burning." And that's cool. That's just saying, you know what? We're not going to be quiet until the message is out and we've reached a nation or we've reached people. And that's so powerful. That's our mantra. Speak the truth and change lives, and don't stop till it happens.
I like what it says in James 4:7. It says, "Therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin."
Ooh. Yikes.
You can't get any plainer than that.
Yeah.
I kept thinking about it. I said, why is silence sin?
Well, doesn't that other half of the scripture say, unless you're really busy?
Oh,
Isn't
I forgot.
that the second
Yeah,
part?
I think that was maybe in the
It's not
translation.
sin if you're really busy.
If you're really
right?
busy and you're just taking care of your
I
family.
mean, and then there's the third part. Most people just skip this one because, like, if your favorite TV show's on, then that's true too.
Oh, that's right.
Right?
Gosh, I took that out of context, didn't I?
Yeah.
Ah.
No, it says it's sin
It
if
is
you know
sin.
to do right and don't.
Most people have a misconception of what sin really is. Independence from God is basically what sin is. You're the one who is trying to provide for yourself. And so when people remain silent, basically they're trying to protect themselves. They don't trust God to protect them. When somebody remains silent, they're trying to protect themselves from not being persecuted, from not being ridiculed, from not getting attacked. But instead of being a mouthpiece of God, they've shut up. Silence becomes a sin is because they're trying to protect themselves.
That's so true. When people are silent, there's a cost. So one thing that happened in 1962 is prayer was removed from schools.
Oh, man.
And people allowed it. The almighty Supreme Court says this, and people just bow to that. And so once prayer was gone, unwed birth rates of 15 to 19-year-olds doubled. Pregnancies for girls 10 to 14 went up 553%. Divorce rates went up 117%, and they had been falling. Single families went up 140%.
Oh, my gosh.
So there's consequences. Those are just things that happen when prayer and God was removed. Students didn't have that moral compass around them anymore.
Yep.
And they just acted like animals, and there's a price for that, unfortunately.
And it goes even further. I mean, because evil, if you don't stand up against it, it's going to eventually come after those who will not fight.
Yeah.
What does it say in God's word? Resist the devil
true.
and he will flee.
Yeah.
You know, that is the ultimate consequence of silence, is slavery.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know, it was Euripides. Euripides says this is slavery, not to speak one's thoughts. The war is fought with words.
Yeah. That's how God spoke things into existence.
He gave us that exact same ability to create our world with what we speak.
Yeah, definitely. So we need to speak the truth out there and help create the future
Right.
we want.
You know, so if the truth isn't being spoken and being seeded into society, what's to stop all the weeds of evil?
Right. Nothing.
I was doing a lot of property management. The lawn I was working at had no water. It had, you know, it wasn't being taken care of. So the whole yard was nothing but weeds.
Yeah.
I mowed down the weeds, put in grass seed, watered it, and by the end of the summer, that grass had grown so thick that it choked out
Wow.
all the weeds.
Wow.
I mean, that is a great physical example of
Yeah.
what's gone on. There is so much truth not being sown out there that the weeds are taking over.
Yeah, and we're afraid to say the truth, but if we would just say it,
Yeah.
we would begin to spread those seeds and regrow what's
Yes.
been destroyed.
You hear somebody speaking the truth. I don't know if it's same for you, but for me, Dave, my heart just starts to leap. It resonates within me, and it emboldens me when I hear the truth spoken in my face.
Yeah, I like it. If someone tells me the truth, even if it's not like the feel-good stuff, it's a challenge truth or whatever, I go, man, that's right on. I
It
like
fires me
that.
up.
It does. I like it.
You know, getting that truth so inside of you that it becomes a fire, that you can't help but speak it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fire in my bones.
You know, and that's what I enjoy about doing this, Dave, is like all this research and the people that I, study and read, and, I'm getting that truth, and it's slowly building that fire.
It's true. It fires you up. That's the goal here, is to inspire and fire other people up. We're getting fired up, and we want you guys out there to be fired up. So on these episodes, leave a like.
Yeah.
Leave a comment. There's places at the bottom to leave a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts, ideas, and we really enjoy spreading the message. So like and share. Tell your friends.
Yeah.
We look forward to continuing talking about some pretty cool truths, right?
Oh, yeah, we got some great stuff coming up, Dave, and I'm just, the more I do this, the more I want to do it, and I'm just excited about letting our voice be heard and doing our part to put the truth out there.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm growing a lot. We want to join forces together and do what we're talking about. Cut the silence, start speaking the truth, and let's make America great again.
Let's lock arms.
Yeah. So friends, America, thank you for listening.
Until next time.